Everyone, this is Robinson Mason with the C64 Walkabout. I know it's been a long time. I got something just a little bit fun in the mail yesterday. This is the Evercade Premium Pack, and it's basically a little handheld that has cartridges and dedicated games. These days, of course, with all the emulator-based Game Boy knockoff-looking handhelds that you can pick up. Somebody might say, well, why would you get a handheld that plays games that you could just download, or why wouldn't you get a Raspberry Pi handheld for pre-built for $200, or build one yourself from parts sold on AliExpress? I understand that, and certainly you might not be surprised that I do have some handhelds like that. But the problem I've always found is that, in particular, I used to, before I had a Commodore 64 in the old days, or even a VIC-20, I did get an Atari 2600 from my father. And one of the worst systems that I've seen put into licensed handhelds and even implemented on small screen Game Boy type China-built handhelds is that they don't do the Atari 2600 very well. So I read some good things. I saw some reviews, pre-release reviews of this, and I actually pre-ordered the premium pack and then got myself another one more of the game cartridges. So this Evercade Premium Pack actually comes with 3 cartridges. So it comes with an Atari collection. It also comes with Interplay and Data East. The Atari collection 2 actually is what comes with the system here, apparently, according to the sticker. So what I actually ended up doing, and now I'm going to get confused, right? Because it says the Atari Collection 2, interestingly enough, in the back of this box, and it says other cartridges available, right? So got myself a little bit confused there reading the box, but it says other cartridges available. So I went ahead and purchased the Atari Collection 2. And one reason is that my son has an obsession with one of the games. My 3-year-old son, believe it or not, has an obsession with one of the games called Dark Chambers on this. And there are actually a few titles, one of which I have the original cartridge of, called Sprint Masters, that I thought, and particularly Solaris, which I heard is one of the games that would actually take pretty good use of the save game feature, or the save state feature, I should say, that comes available on the Evercade. So one of the biggest problems I have with any kind of arcadey handheld that allows you to play longer games is that I don't have the time to leave. Like in the old days, I could play a longer title and then have the thing, have the system sit around for hours turned on while I went off into the other room or did something. I don't think you want to do that with a handheld. So having a save state would be a great way to appreciate some of the titles like Solaris, Sword Quest, and others that I may make progress on, but I don't necessarily have the time nor the confidence to leave a system like this turned on for multiple hours. There's actually another title that they sell in the catalog, Draken, I believe, which is an actual full-fledged RPG, and without a save state, there's no way you'd want to have that thing running all the time. So, without more ado here, because someone's gonna post in the comments, go to minute whatever, because this guy doesn't turn the thing on. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on. and you're going to see hopefully not a whole lot of reflection of my head camera or my fantastic morning hairdo. Right, so the game titles that I have here are Air Sea Battle, Asteroids, Basket Brawl, which I'd never heard of, and others. I don't want to do a comprehensive review of every single game on this, but what I do want to say is very simply, this handheld feels really nice and solid. The buttons feel good. The D-pad feels good. I have very large hands. I think, for compared to, say, maybe a kid you might get this for. So for me, this system is not at all bulky or hard to hold or whatever. I had read some reviews and seen some videos that talked about it being large, but honestly, I don't see it unless you're used to holding some micro Game Boy clone. This is not, this is perfect for me, for my hands at least. Just for fun, let's jump into a game that everybody knows. One of the reasons I like the Atari collections is they're not just 2600, and they include titles that I haven't played, such as, of course I've played Centipede, but I've never played the 7800 version of it before. So, well, some of it gets a little bit getting used to. You can obviously do advanced, novice, standard. You can select the difficulty here. A seems to be the standard. Here we go. Now, hopefully I'm holding it at an angle where you can actually see something, right? Alright, well that's a game that everybody knew. Now, I don't know whether I'm doing it right or I just got used to doing this, but if you press your finger right in the middle of the select and start, you can pull up this nice little menu with the save state and all that, or you can just go down to quit game. Or you can think you can go down to quit game and press the wrong button. Alright. Dark Chambers, here it is. My son's favorite game. Actually, he likes playing it with me in 2 players, so that's one of the things that you're not going to get here unless they have some secret built-in feature that I'm not aware of with the USB port or something to allow multiplayer. Possible, I suppose, but for now there's not going to be a second player here. What you can do in Dark Chambers is down at the bottom, if you push up, you can add 2 players, which I don't think you'd want to do here. And then if you press left or right, you can actually change the difficulty, which is represented by this little face here with the glasses, or the happy face, the cool face, and then the dude with like the pirate patch over his eye. So we'll do that 1 player, and what it really does is it takes you into a much lower level. Instead of taking you to level A, it takes you down. It's kind of, I wouldn't really say it's a Gauntlet clone, full-fledged, because it is absolutely similar, very similar to Gauntlet, but clone would be giving it a little bit too much credit because it isn't able to handle the number of monsters on screen. So what it ends up really being is more like a Gauntlet-like adventure, where you're looking to find you spend a lot of time trying to figure out where are the keys, how do I get out of this place. The only thing I don't really like about this title, my son loves it and he doesn't care, is how when you shoot the monsters they change from one monster type to another. So the more difficult the monster is, the more it cycles back through the different versions of monsters graphically. It didn't make any sense to me, but after a while you get used to it and you don't really care. It just means when you face a higher level monster like this wizard, you have to shoot him more times to they actually have a nice zigzag pattern here. I'm not sure I've played the the hardly is much. But that was actually pretty. I wouldn't say it was good AI, but it's a nice little pattern they built in there. Maybe it's the difficulty goes higher, whereas in the lower difficulties, my son just sits there and the monster pretty much walks straight toward him, or doesn't even really walk toward him at all. So it's a great game for a little kid. And again, if you have a chance to pick up Dark Chambers, just oh, I almost got killed there. As a normal title for your 2600, I recommend it. I have it in a nice little protective plastic case, because these old paper boxes, especially it seems some of these Atari 2600 ones, have a horrible tendency to just be crushed and misshapen. Even when they're new on, in air quotes, on new old stock on eBay. So anyway, that was just a quick look at those, and I'm sure what you want to really know is, and somebody needs to put the exact time down in the comment section, right, is how to get the cartridges in and out. This is it. This is one little cartridge. There's Atari Collection 2, a good one. Looking forward to playing Solaris. And then it comes with other titles, and I left this one, I ripped it open just a little bit so you could actually see me unbox something, right? The Evercade comes in a very simple box over here with one USB cable, no charger. I've got 100 chargers in my house. I suppose the only downside to them not supplying their own charger is if somebody were to have some really non-standard USB charger and screw up their system. But I would recommend then in that case to read the manual to make sure that the charger you have is compatible, and on the back of your charger, 9 times out of 10, unless it's super cheap, it should have the the voltage and all that listed. So all right, Burger Time is a big favorite of mine. So that was one of my things. I'm a sucker for Burger Time. It just has something so satisfying about dropping those burgers down. So one of the cool things you'll notice is that the cartridge has like a little, different color paint on it, right? For a Data East as compared to Atari. So these cartridges are very, they're almost VIC-20 level, hard to push in. So you might, this is really not, I wouldn't say this is something I would give to my 3-year-old kid to have him start popping cartridges in and out. Definitely not. All right, Blaze Entertainment there again. And you've got this like retro synth opening there that isn't really the poor quality of the speakers, which are stereo here, but is intentional to give that retro vibe. All right, so some of these games I noticed look like they are NES titles, right? If you're an NES fan, that's good. I never really was. So let's see how this Burger Time is, how it works out. Is this the real Burger Time, or is this... It didn't really say what the platform was. Oh, well. I guess I'm going to find out what it's like to play Burger Time on an NES. Yeah, the music's good. So far, so good, actually. It moves really nice. Oh. Is this actually an NES version, or is this the original? I'm gonna have to go check. Whatever it is, they've got the movement right down, so maybe this is another platform. Seems a bit too nice for the NES, or am I just biased against the NES? I guess I'll find out later. I'll have to go double check it. The intro screen just said NES to me. the pepper. The movement and the animation is very good here. I'm not an expert on... Oh, I've got to crush them. Oh, I've got a lot of them. Anyway, get out of that. Quit game. And go look around here. So, this one, you know, it's interesting. 16-bit, right? So, I don't know. Is this... It says Two Crude Dudes, 1991. One of the problems, I guess, with some of the descriptions of the titles here is that they don't really tell you what the original system was. I guess if you... And Fighter's history here. This is interesting. This looks like a... this looks like it might be an arcade port, but I don't know that I have any direct arcade ports here yet. They may all be from different consoles. I guess that's something you'll have to look up yourself. Little volume buttons down here, and I would recommend the headphones. The sound is pretty good, but I've tried it through the headphones, and that's quite nice. So Fighter's History looks quite nice. I can't tell. Maybe this is this sound is a little SNES, maybe. CPU battle. Let's do that. But I guess we'll be able to... Yeah, this has a SNES feel to it. So, you know, if implemented well enough, there's nothing wrong with that. These kind of games were so popular. I remember I lived in Japan at the time, and how many quarters I sunk into these sort of fighting titles. Of course, I don't know. Oh, well, there's the standard old Hadouken type. I wonder if she has the... Pretty cool music there. Not a bad title. I like that. Alright. Quit game. There's one more here which I believe has ports from the Sega Genesis. But anyway, since I won't make this an extremely long video, I won't break that one out. But that has got some titles that I know my 5-year-old son is going to be a fan of, such as Booger Man, Earthworm Jim, and an interesting one for me would actually be Battle Chess, because I'm curious, is that a Sega Genesis port? Are all of these on this Interplay collection all Sega Genesis ports possibly? They may be. I do like the Genesis. Had a Mega Drive actually in Japan too. And it has this one unusual French game, which I suppose is translated, of course, called Incantation, which I had never seen before. So anyway, that is the Evercade. It's got a rechargeable battery, which I guess I should have mentioned up front, which is nice. It has a very hefty feel to it. Hopefully a lot of that is the battery to give it battery time. And overall, the play and feel of all the titles I tried seems very spot on and responsive, and I'm looking forward to playing a few old classics again. That, you know, just such basic Atari 2600 titles, such as Good Old Adventure, and just getting through it one time, and then trying out all these others. None of the games I played or tried so far seem to me to be, you know, absolute junk. I think there's one on here which I read bad things about called Wizard, which I guess wasn't released. It was like a prototype, and they released it later, which seems like the type of game I would have loved back in the day, but it may just have an unfinished feel to it. But other than that, all the titles seem like they are, you know, ones that I would love to go back and play. Even the classic Night Driver. Not exactly sure how that one's going to play out yet for me, since, if I recall correctly, it used a paddle. So how good will it be? How challenging will it be with a joystick versus the paddle, which, you know, you always intended to overswing? Food Fight. That's going to be a fun one. All right. So anyway, just a short little review, an unboxing, if you will, which, you know, I couldn't wait for the unboxing video, of course. since my house is a madhouse these days. Hope you enjoyed it. I have a few other items which I will, older computers and stuff, which I'll get around to reviewing in the weeks and months ahead. So good to talk to you guys again. Robinson Mason saying goodbye from the C64 Walkabout.